Most Americans do not realize the effects that our agricultural system is having on our water quality and our water supply. These effects range anywhere from impacts on our food supply to our health and also to our wildlife. So what exactly is agricultural pollution? Agricultural pollution comes in the form of inorganic plant nutrients. The main inorganic plant nutrients found are nitrogen and phosphorus. Nitrogen and phosphorus are found in the fertilizers of plant-based agriculture and in the waste of animal-based agriculture. The largest source of animal-based agricultural pollutants are called CAFOs. CAFOs are confined animal feeding operations. These are massive amounts of cattle, pigs, or chickens in a small acreage. These build up an enormous amount of waste. CAFOs actually contribute anywhere from 500 million to 1 billion tons of waste annually. In comparison, humans only create 18 million tons. The nitrates and phosphates come from the result of poor waste management on the CAFO's part. Most of the CAFOs have a stockpile of waste in confinement structures such as pipes or even storage tanks. These storage tanks can break leaks and leak into our lakes, rivers, streams, or even an underground well supply where we get the majority of our drinking water. The damage from our CAFOs here in the United States is astonishing and is a significant amount of the pollution affecting our water. In the 2000 National Water Quality Inventory, it found that 43% of our drinking water has been contaminated to some extent by CAFOs specifically. And also, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, livestock manure is the leading cause of nitrogen pollution in our lakes and rivers. Nitrates and phosphates aren't the only pollutants found, though. Because animals receive up to 80% of the antibiotics produced here in the United States, you can also find veterinary antibiotics, arsenic, metal pollutants such as copper, and viruses and bacteria. The main reason that animal production causes such a major havoc on our water supply is due to the fact that the EPA hasn't had restrictions and laws to keep up with the CAFOs. CAFOs are a newer operation. Unlike homegrown farms, CAFOs have just popped up even in metropolitan areas. But CAFOs and nitrates and phosphates aren't our only problem. The U.S. has also seen an extensive production in synthetic chemicals. Synthetic chemicals are things that are meant to control pests, weeds, fungi, insects. These products have been used not only in agriculture, but also at home. The same properties that make these chemicals so influential on controlling the pests and weeds is the same thing that harms our wildlife. It's a process known as biomagnification. Biomagnification is where the effects not only are seen in the target, but are also seen higher in the food chain by things that eat the intended target. Such effects could be anything from decreasing egg goodness in birds, decreasing the reproduction or increasing the reproduction of deformations of fish, and even to the most extent, death. One of the largest and most distressing examples of phosphorus and nitrates polluting our water is called the dead zone. The dead zone is found in the Gulf of Mexico. It's approximately 6,213 square miles of hypoxic water. Hypoxic waters mean that there's lack of O2 or very, very little, not enough to sustain life, hence called the dead zone. The dead zone is formed by 41% of the U.S. farmlands draining into the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River then dumps into the Gulf of Mexico. When these nitrates and phosphates reach the Gulf of Mexico, they cause an influx of plankton, either photoplankton or zooplankton that feeds on the photoplankton. This wouldn't be a problem if the waste buildup from the plankton, whenever it decomposes, causes the O2 pretty much evaporate, leaving the water not sustainable for life. So, any living organisms such as native fish, the Gulf fisheries, commercial fishing, all of these things are impacted by the dead zone. The dead zone affects one of the largest commercially supplies of our brown shrimp. They die because they cannot escape the low-level oxygen water. This 6,213 square foot of the dead zone actually rotates or travels around the Gulf of Mexico due to water conditions such as sea current, temperature, or even the weather. So we never know which impact or which zone of the commercial fishing may be impacted by the dead zone. Because of this, it has not only commercial influences, but also ecological. It could kill off an entire ecosystem of reefs, native fisheries, but it isn't just our water supply and our wildlife that it's affecting. It's also affecting our food, such as I mentioned with the brown shrimp, and also our health.